Game and Movie presents interviews from MGC 2018.
Hello, this is Corey Bauman and Jessica Bauman here for Game and Movie Podcast at Midwest Gaming Classic 2018, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Yesterday we had the fortune to talk to Billy Mitchell.
Yeah, I was pretty excited. I didn't know he was going to be here. I guess some people did, but we came across him in the vendor hall and stopped dead in our tracks. Had to go up and say hi.
And lately, I think part of the reason why he is here is he's under a lot of scrutiny because last week, Twin Galaxies, basically the organization that holds all the records, they concluded, and this is from NPR, that after an investigation lasting more than 2 months, that Mitchell set some of his best-known records on improperly modified software, not the original unmodified arcade games mandated under the organization's rules. And why this is important is that emulation can allow for cheating. Emulation is rarely 100% perfect. It can allow for entirely different control schemes, display setups, and other environmental considerations. These considerations are different for every emulated game. So
here's the thing. We also got to meet Walter Day, so that was really exciting. He's the guy that's in charge of all of these records from back in the day. I feel like when these first happened, it was really monumental. He broke so many records before emulators were available. He did it at the Twin Galaxies in front of a crowd, and those records should still hold, but someone from a current regime, so it would be called, was saying that all the way back, all of his records should be stricken. And I feel like that's a pretty hard line to call.
Yeah. So we had run into him and basically asked him, hey, we have this podcast. Would you like to sit down with us for a few minutes? And what we really wanted to do is not necessarily get into that because it is kind of a touchy thing here for him. We didn't want him to feel like we were coming at him because that really wasn't the intent, and that's not the intent for Game and Movie Podcast either.
And I feel like walking around on the floor, he was playing Ms. Pac-Man, he was greeting fans, but for the most part, people were a little snarky or drawn back because of this current news, and I feel like that's not fair to him. He's a real character, and he was extremely nice to us. We had a great time hanging out with him.
Yeah, he was super nice. While he was playing Ms. Pac-Man, we talked to him for a little bit. He did this thing, and if you're really a diehard, gamer, you understand patterns of the game and how the board works. And he would just figure out the pattern of when all four ghosts would get together. He could duck into a corner, and they would move around, and he was completely safe. He said he could just sit there for about 16 minutes before the game reset itself. So he did give us the time of day, and then when he was all done, he agreed to come and sit down with us. And I think we had a really pleasant experience, and we're going to let you hear it.
Yeah, check it out.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right, this is Corey here at Game and Movie Podcast, sitting with the legendary Billy Mitchell here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 2018. How you doing?
I'm always good. That's why you asked me here.
We're really excited to have you here. So we do have a little bit of a format. We're going to break off of that, though, because you're an arcade player, and I just want to kind of get more of a grasp of like your arcade upbringing and just talk a little.
Well, I'm always asked if I play these games. First of all, I see my son play, and he uses 9 fingers. I can't do that. I just can't.
Oh, I'm the same way.
I'm like a joystick and a button.
Yeah.
That's first reason. The second one is I'm not going to play anything he can beat me at, and he can whip me at every one of them. So I'm just going to do it.
So, getting started, obviously you hung out at arcades a little bit. What was the first game that really just drew you in?
Well, I was actually a hardcore pinball player.
Okay.
And as you look at me, you might get the impression I don't really like things that are new, or I don't embrace change.
Sure.
In case you didn't notice. But these things came out called video games, and it was less and less competition on pinball. And although I didn't like them initially because they were new, eventually to have that competition, I had to move over there. And there was this big yellow machine that everybody was crowded around and blocking the place up. And it was hard to get to, so I actually got to the Donkey Kong first. and I'm playing and playing and playing. And I got to the point where it was too difficult for me to believe that anybody could beat me. So I started traveling to different arcades. And eventually I'm driving around the state, just trying to put the hammer down. And I asked the arcade guy, I says, what do they have competition on this? He goes, they don't have competition on that. And I go, why not? You have it on Tron. He goes, that's because of the movie. And I go, well, yeah, but they should have it on this. He goes, that game's popular, but it's not Pac-Man. I go, what do you mean? That's Donkey Kong. He goes, yeah, but it's not Pac-Man. So me having a little bit of hostility in me, I said, well, I just get the world record on Pac-Man too. The heck with it. So that was my beginning of my arcade experience.
Have you always been a competitive person? Were you like competitive in sports and things, or was it mostly just you picked it up in video games?
No, very much so. I mean, some would argue that I had a future in baseball with pitching, and
okay,
you only have one life to live, and my direction went towards gaming.
Okay.
Whether that's right or wrong, I don't know. I know it worked for me. I know it was fun. I don't think that I would change it, but I did have points where I had to choose what avenue.
Sure. No, I mean, because obviously you've obviously made a name for yourself in the video game world.
In more ways than one.
Yeah. And a very impressive resume. One of the questions that we were asking that I do want to hit you up on is, now I know this is kind of a timely subject, so don't take it as that, but what's your most devastating game experience?
Without lying, one of the most difficult things for me was I was going to go back to Japan. I was going to see Masaya Nakamura, the founder of NAMCO, the father of Pac-Man, and many would argue the godfather of video games.
Sure.
So I was hit harder and devastated when I didn't do that, as I told him I would. I didn't do that, and he passed away. That was really, really rough.
Yeah. And most of the people that we're talking to, it's like, I had a saved game, and when I went to restart it, it failed. This is a much higher level than that, because that's somebody who obviously was very close.
After him being and treating me the way he did back in 1999, when I was at events, we would do things like this. I would speak, and when I would speak, that would be sent to him, where he would view it. Even when he was retired, he was no longer going in the office, he would still see and review that at home. If I sent him something, if something came to the office and had his name on it, it just didn't make it to him. It didn't. They told me it didn't. But if I sent something to him and it had my name on it, nobody opened it, it went to him. So I had developed that closeness with him.
Yeah, obviously that'd be really touching to be that close to the guy who created Pac-Man, for sure. So how did you wind up in the hot sauce industry?
Well, you talked about competitive. My family had a business, and so much of what that business had, we were well known for chicken wings, and there was different hot sauces, and we were the most well-known place. Quite honestly, the hot sauce was never quite the way we thought it should be.
Okay.
There's good ones, but it wasn't quite the way it should be. Well, it was about 1986, and I looked around, and I kind of realized, although I might have wanted to, I couldn't play video games forever. And I had to be a little more responsible. Not that much, just a little. And so I took that competitive nature that had been ingrained in me from video games, and I turned it in that direction. That's what we were known for. So how would we develop our own, break away from all the industry standards, and create something better? Without a doubt, in the world of hot sauce and wings, and sales, and knowledge and marketing analysis, and cutting, without a doubt, I'm the most seasoned person in the world. There's people who know different areas better than me, but collectively, all the areas together, and I admire those people because they've helped me. But collectively, when I put everything together, the guys that make it, they don't have a clue how to sell it. The guys that sell it don't have a clue how to transport it, on and on and on.
So you're the jack of trades there.
Yeah, so when I put all those together, and really it was a need that it's something my family was involved in. I had to gain a direction in life, and that competitive nature is what drove me that way. I've actually sat with big accounts, and they know me, my personality, my history, the fun, and I do an analysis, and I tell them what it is I'm putting together for them, and I flat out tell them the odds of their success could not be any greater for the fact that I'm sitting in front of you. And I mean, sometimes I say it that way because it's true. It's been good to me. It's been good fortune.
So we ran into you on the floor. I asked you if you had played anything new here. No, you're playing Ms. Pac-Man. But there's a lot of new, exciting things. I know you're not into all the newest changes. Is there anything that you're looking forward to? Anything that's drawing your eye? That's something new and exciting?
I always look forward to the new pinballs from Stern.
Yeah?
Always.
Iron Maiden?
Yes.
Incredible. Have you played it?
Yes.
Awesome. What'd you think?
I
Tell
thought
us
it was
about
awesome. I sent some information to some friends, some people, and obviously they're going to want it.
For sure.
At some point, I'll say hi to Gary Stern.
Yeah.
I'll say all kinds of good stuff to him because he deserves it. And as far as a video game, it would be hard for me to imagine allowing anything to take up that much time to get good at that I gave to a game when I was a kid. How would I do that and have a family, a house, and a business?
Right.
I'd have to be an indigent in the street to have that much time. So, no. So I'll stick with the old games. I'll have fun. I'll push. I'll promote.
Yeah.
I try to enhance competition, be an ambassador, and help stimulate the culture. But as far as when I'm out screwing around, it's normally something else like pinball.
So we have one more question for you now. I mean,
How much you want to bet he has more than one more question? I'm not a novice. I've been around the block before.
Well, what I was going to ask is that, I mean, you've got records in a ton of games, or you're right there with the best of them. If you had to pick, though, for the rest of your life, just one more arcade game, and then that was it, what would that game be?
What game should have been on the radar?
Potentially, if that's the way you want to interpret it, sure.
Well, a game that has such longevity as Galaga, and basically I never played it to any serious degree.
Okay.
Yeah, I missed the boat there. I did. I can't tell you how many people come say, what's your high score on Galaga? Same as yours. But I always tried to choose games that were the most popular, like Galaga. Tomorrow I can take you, not tomorrow, today, I can take any one of you here, and you can get a world record on a game. Because only one person ever turned in a score, say, for Bomb Jack, or Jack the Giant Killer. But when you take the most competitive games that people want to play, people want to watch, that's where it's hardcore competition. And whether I realize it or not at the moment, by choosing those hardest, most popular, most in-demand games as the focus of what I did, that's what helped create the success for me on a personal level and in the industry and name-wise, because there's a lot of guys who have scores on more games than me. They're just not games that people watch or care for. And by choosing the games I did, whether it was because of competition or somehow I could see the future that they would drive me farther, that was true. The one I missed was Galaga. I missed it.
Well, there's a lot more time for you to get better at it, right?
Maybe.
I guess that's a question. That wasn't meant to be one.
Now I told you had another question, didn't I?
All right, well, we're going to wrap it up with that. Billy, thank you so much for spending some time with us. Enjoy the rest of your weekend here in Milwaukee. This is Corey with Game and Movie Podcast, signing off.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, thanks a lot for listening to the interview. Stay tuned for developer interviews and other interviews with people within the industry. And also, we posed a question to the public: what system could you not live without? All that and more coming up from Game and Movie Podcast. Thanks a lot, everyone, and see you next episode.